Welcome back. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull. I'll be doing this one solo today. Hopefully we're going to get Zep back next week. Now, I do some contract work for the HBAR Foundation, but I don't do these weekly updates in any official capacity. I'm just coming to you personally to give you the latest in the Hedera ecosystem. But as always, none of this is financial advice. Use it for entertainment or educational purposes only. So what I'm going to focus on today is narratives. Now, we see that in the broader economy. We had the internet. Of course, there was plenty of hype around that. We had mobile compute, streaming, EVs, crypto in general. And latest, of course, we have AI. That's been getting a lot of hype lately, and we see how capital flows are impacted by that. But of course, in crypto specifically, there is a focus on, what's the next narrative going to be? This was exemplified by one of the shows I just watched this past week. I watched this one regularly, and that's Scott Melker, the Wolf of All Streets. He had a trader on this week that kind of spoke to this about how crypto traders think about these things. So let's watch that real quick.
Times like now too, I also start to look for rotations and try to get a little more polling from just what's consensus in the market amongst traders, amongst retail. Do meme coins are they going to still have the same punch in the next up move? Is there an actual rotation into alts? If there is a rotation into alts, one thing that I've been doing lately is kind of looking for the things that maybe have some convexity to them, or have historically followed that kind of Gartner cycle chart pattern that I think I talk about every single time I'm on this stream with you. But it really is the one that good swing traders or good traders in crypto look for, where you have good projects that have communities around them, that have interesting protocols or doing interesting things that could potentially be part of a next narrative. Those, from a technical trading standpoint, generally tend to be depressed, or they go into these big pullbacks and these long accumulation phases. And then what you see a lot of more experienced traders do is try to get ahead of the next wave and start to pick up positions in those things. And then when you get that curl and that turn, sometimes the tail wags the dog. Sometimes price starts to move, and then suddenly that tech becomes good and very interesting.
We've had all kinds of narratives like this in the crypto space, whether it's meme coins or AI. I mean, you could go down the list, ICOs. The ones that had the most impact are the ones that I think have the most substance behind them. A good example of that is DeFi. We have tens, if not hundreds of millions of users of DeFi across all kinds of different platforms. Hedera, of course, being one of those. But it's also a proof of concept for what the traditional financial industry could be. And as that trader just showed, the crypto space is always looking for that next narrative. Now, they're always guessing as to what that's going to be. Is it going to be DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure? Is it going to be real-world asset tokenization, as Larry Fink believes, and seems pretty inevitable? We have GameFi and the crossroad between AI and crypto, but we're really not sure which ones are going to grab hold. The nice thing about Hedera and the HBAR economy is there's projects, and some of the best projects I believe in the world, that are working on each one of these things. Some of the narratives the crypto industry hasn't even caught on to yet. One of those being refi. So everything environmental. We talk a lot on here around carbon credits, but it goes a lot further than that. It's conservation and many other things that can impact the environment in a positive way. In the past few weeks, we've highlighted a couple of these things, one of them being the Blockchain for Energy Consortium. And there were two main things that stood out to me around Blockchain for Energy. One of them being the only layer 1 network that was part of this consortium was Hedera itself. The other thing that stood out was the big names that are around this, including Exxon, Chevron, Saudi Aramco, Schlumberger, and the list just goes on. Another story we covered in the refi space was around EDF. Now, EDF, of course, is one of the Hedera Governing Council members, but they are also one of the largest electricity producers in the world. They had not one but 3 projects they're working on using Hedera. The first one was around green hydrogen and certification trading. The second one had to do with renewable energy certificates and EV charging stations. And the last one was my favorite, called Hedge, which stands for Hedera, Google, and EDF, a pure DePIN play. So we're seeing some crossovers between narratives with this one. So refi is one of those areas we could see a hype cycle around, and Hedera is in pole position for that. The next one I want to touch on is around sports. Now, SportsFi isn't something that we've heard in the crypto space, and I think the reason for that is because we haven't really seen the impact in the broader crypto space. But we're just starting to see that now with a project that's built on Hedera, and it's one that I talk about all the time, and that's Karate Combat. Not surprisingly, Karate, the Karate token, is my second largest crypto holding behind HBAR. But they're really doing all the right things, and it's catching the attention of people across the entire space. We talked about last week how they have two huge events coming up at massive crypto conferences, one in Dubai at Token 2049 and the other one at Consensus down in Austin. Now, at the center of any Web3 project, I think, has to be a really good product, and that's what Karate Combat has. They have fantastic fighters, but they also have a rule set and a pit that's set up for sport that just makes it that much more entertaining. But they're also tapping into something that the crypto industry is very dependent on, and that's influencers. So at their Consensus event, they're going to be doing the second iteration of the Influencers Fight Club, and they have two big names that are going to be headlining it in Nick Carter and David Hoffman. Now, these are essentially representatives for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So we have a face-off between Bitcoin and Ethereum at Consensus. It's essentially the personification of this rivalry, and I saw something on X that I just had to show around it.
Good morning, haters. Breaking news. Nick Carter versus David Hoffman at Consensus 2024, May 30th, hosted by Karate Combat.
Yes! 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 Yes!
This is about to be a bloody battle between Bitcoin and Ethereum. I've been training my man David Hoffman here in the dojo. I placed my bet with the 100 million Karate token. How much you gonna bet? That's up to you. Remember, choose rich.
And these aren't the only big names that are going to be entering the pit. We have the CEO of Masari, who cover Hedera really well, and that's, of course, Ryan Selkis. He's looking for an opponent, I think, for September. I think Crypto Crow might be a good one because this guy's a heavyweight. Another one that's absolutely crazy is Billy McFarland of the Fire Festival infamy, and he's fighting to pay back the debt on that debacle.
I know a lot of people want to see me get knocked out. I've got some good news. I'm literally fighting to pay people back. May 30th, I'm stepping into the pit for Karate Combat. Fire 1 might not have happened, but knocking out this crypto dude certainly will. Oh shit, not Phil.
Come on, let's go, playtime.
Okay.
So this is getting attention across the entire crypto space, and this first hit in the SportsFi space is built on Hedera. Another thing of note is Karate Combat 46 is going to be down there in Austin, where Joe Rogan currently lives, so I think there's a pretty good chance he might show up. And because of that, the additional coverage potential we could see from it could be huge. In addition, they've put out the full fight card for the influencers at Karate Combat 46, and we have our own May from Hashpack who's going to be fighting. Now, she's done a fair amount in kickboxing in the past, so I'm excited to see her enter the pit. She's going to be representing some of the builders within the Hedera ecosystem. All around, Karate Combat is hitting on all cylinders, and I wouldn't be surprised if this gets bigger than anybody thinks is possible.
Catch me at the next Karate Combat, man. Joe Schilling and Luke Rockhold taking the
That's right. When is that happening?
April 20th.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so
that's interesting.
So y'all can check
Joe
me out
Schilling's a
there.
bad man.
Yeah.
So the next narrative that I want to touch on is something that Larry Fink has been talking about, and that's real-world asset tokenization. He believes that the future of financial markets and securities is tokenization, but not just tokenization, but tokenization on public networks like Hedera. And of course, we've seen a lot of traction with this already in Hedera. We've had interviews with the likes of Red Swan, which is tokenizing real estate and quarter homes along with Toko. We also have things like Aberdeen and Archax. So they tokenized a 16 billion pound fund, so that's nearly $20 billion on Hedera. We have the Digital Commodities Exchange, which is a traditional exchange that's right now adding trust to their network using Hedera, but they are looking at tokenizing their commodities contracts in the future. So another team that is working in real-world asset tokenization within the Hedera ecosystem is Diamond Standard. Now, we interviewed them in the past, but they have since launched their fungible token called Carrot. So I caught up with Cormac. He is the CEO and co-founder of Diamond Standard to get some more information. Cormac, to get started, can you give us a quick refresher on Diamond Standard?
Yeah, so Diamond Standard is very interesting, and I think of it as the pioneer of real-world assets. And it's very real-world. These are Diamond Standard bars, and they're physical, and the diamonds are inside. And we also have coins. The market price of this today is, I think, $4,300. The breakthrough is that these commodities are equivalent, meaning that they have the same value because the diamonds inside are optimized. These commodities have come a very long way. They're now approved to settle CFTC-regulated futures and options. We just listed our first fund on an SEC-approved exchange called Oasis Pro. But the biggest news, I think, is that we've launched a commodity currency called Carrots. And the Carrots are actually issued by this physical coin.
That makes perfect sense. Now, you mentioned you issued that fungible token, Carrot. Can you tell us, generally what it is and why you created it?
So Carrots are completely unique in the world of digital assets because they are a fraction of a physical commodity. But because of the way they're created, meaning that they're actually issued by the wireless chip inside this coin, Carrots end up being exempt from securities regulations, but also virtual currency regulations. And it's not that we're trying to avoid regulation. We have a regulatory license. All of our, we have enforced KYC and anti-money laundering. But in the US, if you're a platform like X, formerly known as Twitter, and you want to offer a payment solution for peer-to-peer payments between your users, X actually will need a money transmitter license in 48 individual states, plus in Europe and UK and Singapore, et cetera, Because if you use a virtual currency like ETH or USDC or Tether or Bitcoin, those are all virtual currencies, meaning you have to use a money transmitter license. Carrots are legally distinct. They're a title to a commodity that's not issued by a sponsor, but the title is actually issued by the commodity. It only works because of the physical nature. And that makes Carrots exempt, and that allows a platform like X or a game like Fortnite or a money remittance company in the Philippines or Thailand or Mexico. They can use Carrots for payments without all of those repetitive money transmitter licenses.
That's really interesting. I had no idea that was the case. Now, I was looking at the prices. Is it, 5,000 carats to one of the coins? Is that the right ratio?
That's right. And 50,000 carats to a bar. They're issued by the bar. So if you own this bar, it has to be sitting at the custodian, which is Brinks. You can actually push a button and you issue the carats. They get delivered to you. And then you can sell 1 or 10 or all 50,000 of your carats, and you no longer own that commodity. You own the currency. And it works in the reverse. Anybody who owns 5,000 carats, and right now they're traded on the BitTrue exchange. They're on the Saucer Swap DEX also. But anyone who acquires 5,000 carats can return them to the smart contract, and they now own a specific Diamond Standard coin, and they can even take delivery. So it's a real world asset that becomes a commodity currency. It's a huge breakthrough.
Okay, and it would have to be a specific coin, or does it matter? Are the coins fungible?
The coins are fungible, but in the world of securities laws, you don't want a commodity pool because shares of a pool are securities. But in the case of carats, the carats are always issued from a specific coin, might be the coin you own, Then they become fungible in a pool, but then when you return them, they become specific again. And that's why they never become a security.
All right, I understand. So you mentioned some interesting things. I know in the past you talked a little bit around casinos. You were talking about gaming here a couple minutes ago. How do you see these carrots being used?
So there's a huge number of use cases, and gaming and casinos and remittances are all big ones. But by far, we have a pilot now that we're starting with a giant social network that it wants to use that exact use case of enabling payments between their users globally. But there's also one other huge application, which is as a substitute for stablecoins. Around the world, in Canada, UK, Europe, South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, and India, stablecoins are quickly becoming regulated as securities. Or in the case of Japan and South Korea, they've determined that only a bank can issue that security, that stablecoin. And if you think about it, a stablecoin like Tether is a share of a money market fund, and the bank is holding your assets. So it does make sense. But here's the challenge. If Tether is a security, then any exchange that allows trading in Tether, very often it's dollars per Bitcoin or dollars per HBAR, that exchange will need to register as a securities exchange. And you've been hearing about several exchanges in Europe, starting first, have dropped Tether because they don't want to register as a securities exchange. So what currency can an exchange use as an alternative to stablecoins and therefore to not require them to register as a securities exchange? We think carrots are the ideal solution. The volatility of diamonds is about 3% annually. So they're extremely stable and they're hedged against inflation. Diamonds have gone up over the last 20 years at about the rate of inflation. And so they're a superior alternative to stablecoins that hold their value, are hedged against inflation, and they're not a security.
So there's clearly a lot of benefits here. How can both the Hedera retail community and businesses that would like to leverage what you're building, how can they get involved?
Well, so you can learn more at our website, diamondstandard.co/carrots. You can download the white paper from there to understand the technical functionality of it. We're now working with partners where we're offering an API where they can create and redeem carrots for USDC or other currencies. But they can quickly create a lot of carrots for their gaming platform or for their casino or for their social network and return them. By the way, those carrots, the way we create them, because we don't own the coins and bars, is we lease the commodities from users and we pay for interest. We collect a 3.5% fee when we create a bar and we pay that interest to the commodity owners. That way, if we need $25 million worth of carrots, we just lease $25 million worth of commodities, pay all those owners 1 month of interest, and then we build new commodities to backstop that. Anyway, to learn more, visit the website. If you're a developer, you're welcome to email hello@diamondstandard.co, and we share all kinds of information.
Sounds good. What you're doing, Cormac, is really innovative. We appreciate you coming by and giving us an update.
My pleasure. Thank you, Raymond.
So there was one thing around Diamond Standard that I'm sure our community might have noticed out there. You saw Cormac mentioned Oasis Pro and how they started a fund with Diamond Standard, and it was built on top of or in collaboration with Avalanche. Now, that has to do with Oasis Pro because Avalanche is their partner, and there's reasons why they went in that direction. But Cormac assured me that their carrot token and their commodities themselves are all secured with Hedera, and that is their default platform. So, of course, you can go and get involved with that carrot token. I think it's interesting. And as he mentioned, there's all kinds of use cases that could come out of that. So real-world asset tokenization, if it catches fire, like we hear Larry Fink talking about, could certainly be a place where we could see Hedera excel. So we're going to change gears here just a little bit. We're going to get into the retail side of things. And again, I want to focus on HBAR-weighted airdrops. Now, I guess another narrative that we could see that we haven't seen in the space before is decentralized promotion platforms or media platforms. Now, we just got our first one within the Hedera ecosystem around the Mouth, and I did manage to get a hold of one of the core builders within the Mouth. They're doing a pretty massive airdrop. Over 4% of their supply is going to be involved with this airdrop, and they have some interesting tweaks around this that we haven't seen in the past. So let's listen to that. Now, I've covered the Mouth in the past few weeks, but from your perspective, can you explain what the Mouth is?
Hey, Brandon. Well, so the Mouth is a Web3 native media group, we're calling it. It's a mixture of an advertising company and channels, different types of channels. So what we are a DAO. So that's a big component of it because we're in the attention business. And we've seen some projects tokenize attention or reward attention, like Brave Browser, for example. They give people basically bad tokens, bad tokens for watching ads. And we kind of come from the same place. We want to reward people for paying attention to paid messages. But there's nothing better than owning a thing to pay attention to it. And that's what we see everywhere in crypto projects and Web3 projects, because people follow every announcement. They know every detail about a drop or an NFT mint or whatever the project's doing. So we started from there. So we wanted to be audience owned because of attention, and that is now evolving. And we were initially thinking about like playing ads. You pay and you tweet, we tweet for you, but we are developing products now. And we are really focusing on premium products. Like we have the loudspeaker, that is a weekly contest. People tweet, and we have like a governance system where they vote for the ones they like the most. So what we're doing now is we're like building products around our audience, and also products that other projects can use to leverage our system. We're going to offer some things that we built for ourselves to other projects, like our governance system. It's through fungible tokens. So we are aiming to become a great tool for communicating first inside the Hedera ecosystem, and then moving on to the broad crypto ecosystem, and who knows, someday maybe even becoming something really mainstream.
So the ownership of the Mouth is done through your Mouth token, and then you have a separate token, VE Mouth, which is just used for voting, and that's dropped to the people that own the Mouth, and then they can participate and vote in whatever it may be. You have your loudspeaker, which is promoting different X posts, but it could be for managing the platform, all kinds of things. Now, do you see these kind of governance tokens being used for other things? We'll use an example. Could you create a vote token for HBAR, and then HBAR holders be able to vote on whatever they want, and essentially make the entire HBAR community a DAO itself?
Oh yeah, we definitely can, and we are actually doing it. We are. That's one of the premium products we're working on. And that's the perfect example for us, because our governance system is so simple, and it's like completely trustless. You don't have to even connect a wallet. You just hold our token. In case of Mouth, you hold the Mouth token, and okay, there's the more complex staking component involved, but anyway, you hold Mouth, you get VMouth, and with VMouth, you currently can vote on our DAO votes, but you can also vote for the loudspeaker. And what we're doing now is we're building. We don't have a name for it yet, but a final name. But what we're building is what you could call VHBAR, and you can have. We're basically gonna turn HBAR into a DAO. So you will be able to vote on things, express your opinion, and do lots of things with your vote token for HBAR. And that for us is like, it's two things in one, because it's a product. We can like use it for clients, and you can tokenize sponsorship and everything. But it's also a great way to show how our DAO system that we built for ourselves can be leveraged by other projects. So it's like basically a white labeling of our DAO system. We currently use it with our Telegram bot. It helps navigate the wallets to vote and everything. but you can basically use it anywhere. You don't even need an interface like our bot. You can just like have votes. You can send votes to your community on X or whatever you want. You want to send voice messages with the vote wallets. You can do anything you want, basically just leveraging our system.
And I love the simplicity. To do one of these votes, all you have to do is have nominees in the case of the loudspeaker, but those choices could be anything. And those choices get assigned an account number for Hedera, and you just take that governance token and you send them to the account, which most of us within the Hedera ecosystem, we're used to sending tokens to different accounts. You just send them to that account, you tally up however many votes or however many of those governance tokens are in those accounts, and you know the winner. It's very simple. But I do want to shift gears here just a little bit. I want to get into something that you announced this week. You passed a vote for an HBAR weighted drop of your ownership token, the Mouth token. Why, and I know you can't speak for everyone, but why did the Mouth DAO decide to do this HBAR weighted airdrop campaign?
Well, first thing, these tokens we put up for the vote, they come from an allocation we call initial audience. So right from start, we had the plan to use that supply of Mouth to grow our audience. And growing our audience is like one of the main things, especially now at the start, because we are about reach and engagement, and that's what we are offering clients. So it makes total sense for us to use it to grow our platform, and our audience, our community understood it, and we have like a massive vote towards giving the maximum amount of HBAR. So what we're doing is we're joining this campaign because of two reasons. First one is we want to grow our audience, and the second one is we want to position the Mouth as something that's here to make the HBAR, the Hedera ecosystem stronger. And HBAR weighted airdrops are exactly that. So that's and there's a third thing that is we want to reach people outside Hedera because that's the way we can grow our platform and help Hedera and HBAR grow. So airdrops is the perfect tool for that too, because everyone's chasing airdrops. There are X accounts focusing on alpha from airdrops. So we believe those three things are key for our choice of participating in the campaign. And there's also another thing that is making people interact with the Mouth token and get airdropped vMouth and starting to participate in our platform and see how things work. So that's the main reason we told our community, and the votes were massive. It's like we had, I don't remember, it's 99 point something%. So everyone wanted it. And we're structuring our airdrop campaign to maximize it. So we're doing 1% oversupply, that's 1 million Mouth tokens, purely HBAR weighted. But we have a second side of it. So we're doing an additional 1 million HBAR, 1 million Mouth to people that are holding HBAR, but to get that, they need to hold Mouth. So we have like 2 unlocked tiers. If you're holding 5,000 Mouth or a slice of Mouth NFT, you unlock your HBAR weight up to 100,000 HBAR. And to unlock the higher tier, that's up to 1 million HBAR weight, you need to hold at least 20,000 Mouth in that wallet or 5 slices of Mouth NFTs. So we are creating a way to also reward our own community. And on top of that, we have goals. So we will be monitoring several key goals that we have determined to help our audience grow. The way we structured this is we established some social reach goals mainly and a few others that becomes triggers to additional unlocks to our airdrop. So the first one is when we reach 1,000 members in our Telegram group, we're going to airdrop an additional 160,000 Mouth. We have our loudspeaker competition. It's a weekly competition that I told about before. If we get 100 nominations in our loudspeaker, and I'm speaking specifically of the loudspeaker that comes right before the airdrop, if we get 100 nominations that like posts on X that someone submitted to our bot, we unlock an additional 250,000 mouth. For 250 nominations or more, we will unlock another supply of 250,000 mouth. If we get to 2,000 followers on X, another 500,000 mouth. If we get to 3,000 followers on X, another 500,000 mouth. And the last one, 5,000 followers on X, additional 500,000 mouth. So those are our goals. We'll be communicating those in the following weeks. The community will be engaging. We're going to use our loudspeaker to promote those. And let's see if we get up to, that's 4,160,000 mouth to be airdropped maximum.
So I do want to touch on a few things. First, how people can participate. All they really have to do is they have to have HBAR in their wallet, and then they have to associate the Mouth token. And we'll put that number up real quick so people can do it right away if they'd like to. One of the things that I really liked about this, of course, we're just starting within the Hedera ecosystem to do these HBAR weighted airdrops. I've talked about it a lot. It's strategically important to support HBAR holders. So we really appreciate you guys doing this, but you're adding some additional tweaks, some lessons learned that we've seen so far. So we've had 2 other airdrops similar to this, one with Earthlings, which is still going on. Just yesterday, we had one with Grelf, which went very well. But there's concerns around airdrops from projects, and I understand that. I want them to look at the big picture and make sure that they understand that supporting the HBAR is supporting every project in the space. But it can be difficult because, these kind of airdrops could put pressure on their token in an open market. And you guys are starting to add some additional features of, supporting having some of that mouth in your wallet to qualify, not for the first part of the drop, but for the second part. So you're going to get the first part regardless. But if you want to get some extra, if you want to get a bonus, you have to go out and either already have been a supporter by buying the Mouth token, or go out and engage with the open market and buy some at that point. So I think that's really interesting. Also, using this airdrop to increase your social media scores. I think that's a great way to get more engagement. And that's what, of course, the Mouth is all about. So I think you guys are doing a lot of things that are going to be copied in the future for future airdrops. We have another couple teams that are already interested in doing these airdrops. And I don't see that stopping because we're seeing a lot of engagement across the board when teams do these airdrops. But before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to pass on?
Yeah, no, I'm about the tokens to associate. We are probably gonna be adding vMouth to the list, so people that get Mouth airdropped also get some vMouth the day after, so they can participate in our voting and our loudspeaker. And about the airdrop campaign, we not only want to participate by airdropping, but we also want to help it grow. So we will be joining and helping you with everything we can in our airdrop HBAR weighted airdrop campaign. And we agree that it's key not only to reward HBAR holders, but also a way to attract lots of people from outside the Hedera ecosystem. So, like closing thoughts, I would just like to invite everyone to help us airdrop. So for that, you're going to have to help us reach our goals. So follow us on X, join us on our Telegram group. It's Telegram at t.me/WeTheMouth. And that's it.
All right. Sounds good. So one of the things that I love about this as well is that there's going to be so many more people out there in the Hedera ecosystem that are going to be able to participate in your votes. So anybody that participates in this airdrop is going to get a vMouth, and of course that's your governance token, so they can participate in these votes. And I think that's when they're really going to start to feel the power of what you're trying to build. All right, so the last thing that I want to say is thank you so much for building on Hedera. You guys are doing a great job. I can't wait for this airdrop, and good luck.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for having us, and let's go.
So it's great to hear that the Mouth is participating in one of these HBAR weighted airdrops on a scale that we hadn't seen before. But of course, the pioneer in HBAR weighted airdrops within the Hedera ecosystem is Earthlings. And Earthlings, they do some of the greatest promotional work in the space. And one of the things for their next airdrop, they still have 2 more to come, the largest 2 out of the 4 that they've done. And they came out with a little clip around it, and I wanted to show it. So the promotional material that Earthlings put out is second to none. I'm so impressed with everything that they're doing. I want to get back into gaming here in a second, but to stay focused on airdrops and these HBAR weighted airdrops in particular for a second, I know that there's been concerns from people saying, well, I only have HTS tokens. That is a valid concern if you've gone all in on HTS tokens, but the HBAR is the most strategic asset in our ecosystem. I've said that so many times. So the fact that our HTS token issuers are realizing that and are finding ways to add more value for HBAR holders is invaluable. So one of the frustrations around HBAR weighted airdrops that I certainly understand is that we don't have HTS support as far as hardware wallets out there. This is a really valid concern. I know that there's a lot of progress being made in this area, and hopefully we're going to get some announcements around that soon. And of course, eventually we're going to get Citadel Wallet, which is the native HBAR hardware wallet, and they're going to have support for every single HTS token as well as NFTs within the Hedera ecosystem as well. All right, so we're going to jump back over to gaming. We're going to get into Astra Nova. So there's been some exciting announcements around this gaming team recently. One of them, they got involved with a program with NVIDIA, and you don't get a bigger name than NVIDIA right now. And just this past week, we found out that they have been included in the Google Cloud Accelerator. And if that weren't enough, this fantastic Hedera gaming builder has also announced a partnership with Spicy Capital. So they're getting some VC support as well. So with all of these announcements coming out around Astra Nova, I just had to reach out to the team. Next week, I'm going to be doing an interview with them. So if you have any specific questions around Astra Nova, please reach out and I'll try to get those questions answered. So you can really see the crypto space pushing this GameFi narrative. They see the potential there. We just have to have, in my opinion, a hit game to really make this narrative take off. We have great teams in this space like Circle of Games and Lithos. We've talked a lot about them in the past. Of course, we have Legends of the past, and we talked to them last week. They introduced their Frida character, and they had a clip that I wanted to throw in here as well. I'm sure you guys have noticed the past couple weeks we haven't had Rob on for Shark Bites. He's been away on a trip, but that has allowed us to have a little bit different Shark Bites this week that I think you guys are going to enjoy, so check it out.
Hey Brandon, I've been away a couple of weeks and this is where I've been. I've been a shark conservationist and photographer for about 25 years now, but this is one of my favorite places. We're at the Tiger Beach, which is off the Grand Bahama Bank in the Bahamas. It's one of my favorite places. We've got about 10 tiger sharks below us with an assorted batch of dozens of lemon sharks and reef sharks and maybe even a handful of bulls. So it's a pretty good place to be. So this week I've got only a couple of questions to answer, and hopefully that'll keep me busy between my dives.
So Mr. Evertonian20 asks Rob, if a company wanted to use Hedera, they'd need to buy a large portion of HBAR. Doesn't that become less attractive the higher the price goes? How does that work? And do those HBAR get recycled into the ecosystem?
So Mr. Evertonian20 asks the perennial question about how companies can use HBAR in order to access the Hedera network services. It's pretty easy, actually. Companies hold HBAR in their wallets, and then they can use it for network fees. The question is, do they have to hold a lot? Well, of course they can. They may have a treasury where they buy and hold their HBAR to use, or they might buy it off the market at spot and use it as they need. The benefit of doing the latter is that they can buy only when the market is down and use it as the market goes up. It's standard treasury management process to do that. With cryptocurrency, of course, it goes up and down a lot more than just normal currencies. So there are other ways to manage the HBAR treasury. Of course, we could use a third party to do it on our behalf, and some of the governing council members are looking at that, where it's difficult for them to hold HBAR and hold crypto. Of course, one of the benefits of Hedera is that all the network fees are priced in fiat. So they're always consistently priced, they're always predictably low, and whatever you buy at the market spot rate is what you pay. So it doesn't really hurt to do that. And it depends on your use case. So if you've got use cases that require high throughput, then you'll need more of a pool, maybe a day or a week or even a month's worth. And then if you've only got a very low throughput use case, then it's probably better just to buy it at market rate and spend it as you buy it. Like I said, there are third parties that can do this on your behalf as well. So some of the bigger governing council members that it may be hard for their treasury to hold crypto could potentially do that, and then maybe buy it like AWS credits or something in fiat, and let someone else pay on your behalf. Of course, you've got to share keys and signatures as well for the transactions. So it would have to be a trusted third party.
Next up, we have one from Aaron B8350 who says, many tokens out there are built on the Ethereum network, but we know how unpredictable the gas fees are. The main question is, are all those cryptocurrencies built on the Ethereum network able to move onto Hedera? Do you see Hedera approaching and building the infrastructure for these cryptocurrencies to move from the Ethereum network to Hedera immediately? I know there was a video a couple years ago when Helium was migrating onto the Solana network.
So Aaron B8350 asks about moving tokens from the Ethereum network to Hedera. That's pretty easy to do. Technically, it's very easy to do. Our Ethereum virtual machine equivalence allows for Solidity smart contracts, which is how Ethereum tokens are created, or cryptocurrencies are created, mostly based on the ERC20 smart contract standard. So that can run on Hedera equally well, in fact, even better, because of course it's cheaper and faster to run. But if you've got a token economy that is currently running on Ethereum, then it's not just about building the technology on Hedera, it's about moving the value across as well. And so projects have to decide how they want to do that. We've got some good examples already in the Hedera ecosystem, like Karate Combat, like Bank Social, that actually hold tokens both on Ethereum and on Hedera, largely because Ethereum allows for far greater liquidity. So attracting that liquidity and then running the actual platforms on Hedera seems to work for those projects. Of course, if we wanted to move tokens from one layer one, like Ethereum, onto Hedera, then one needs a bridge. It's something which is still a little bit difficult to manage, and projects tend not to want to do that too often themselves. but their users can quite easily use a bridge and move their tokens over. It makes sense really for projects to see where their communities have formed, where they want to use their tokens, and where the value needs to transfer. You'll notice I mentioned tokens rather than cryptocurrencies. That's mainly because projects tend to use tokens on a blockchain that has its own cryptocurrency. So the tokens would still need Ethereum or ETH on the Ethereum blockchain to operate and to pay for their smart contracts, while their tokens themselves sit on top of that. But it's very possible to do. And what we're seeing is the projects that have transferred to Hedera get all the benefits of the super high speed. The EVM that we've built is the Besu Hyperledger project standard, and it's been optimized for Hedera. So it's very quick. It's maybe 20 times faster than on Ethereum. And of course, you've got the super cheap fees as well on the Hedera network. So it's definitely something to consider.
And finally, we have one from Perfect Ability who said, when was the last time you talked to Lehman and how did it go?
So Perfect Ability asked when I last spoke to Lehman. I speak to Lehman quite a lot, actually, because he co-chairs the TechCom and the Treasury Committee, CoinCom, and I co-chair our Corporate Utilization Committee. So we do quite a lot of work together. There's lots of handover points between CorpCom and TechCom. And of course, Lehman's a very approachable guy. He loves being asked questions. So it's very easy to reach out, and when there's something difficult that needs to be solved for, then he's probably my go-to person. And of course, he's in the governing council and the other committees that he attends to. So yeah, we get to talk quite a lot, and I continue to be in awe of what he has created in Hedera, and yeah, we get on great. That's everything for this week. We're going to go diving right now with these beautiful lemon sharks here, and then go and find the tiger sharks that swim on the reef below us. So see you back in Sydney next week, and hope you're all having as great a time as I am. Cheers.
So, of course, Rob is one of the representatives on the Hedera Governing Council for Australian Payments Plus. They're doing a lot of stuff, but we haven't had a lot of announcements recently. Now, IIT Madras is another Hedera Governing Council that we really didn't know what they were working on, and we got some additional information this week. I had a Twitter space around healthcare, the healthcare industry, and Hedera, and things that are being done by Acor, Jim, one of the OGs in the space. But we also caught up with the representative from IIT Madras on the Hedera Governing Council, and he gave us some really interesting insights. So we're going to listen to that one next. What has your path to Hedera looked like to this point, and what are you currently working on at IIT Madras?
Thank you so much, and also thanks for having me here. Being part of Hedera has been a very exciting and enriching experience. So I first learned about Hedera about 3 years ago. And at that time, I was already working on applying blockchain for the healthcare space. We had developed a blockchain-based distributed healthcare information management system called BlockTrack. And in fact, perhaps the publicity for this is what got Hedera's attention as well. And then IIT Madras joined as a council member on Hedera Council. And since then, I've been interacting with the various council members and also looking at the various projects and so on. So that's been the journey as such. And in the meantime, at IIT Madras, we have also created a blockchain laboratory, which I co-lead with my other member on the Hedera Council, John Augustine. And we also now have a Center of Excellence for Cybersecurity, where I must say I am the only mechanical engineer. Rest of the people are computer scientists. And me being a mechanical engineer is important and to stress that, because I come in from the application perspective. And I'm very interested in various applications of blockchain in various domains, such as healthcare, elections. Yes, that's a tricky one. and also in carbon credit tokenization and climate financing. So these are the three different areas in which I myself am working on as of now. The work on healthcare domain is more advanced compared to the others, where we have now also a startup incubated at IIT Madras called Plenome, which is licensing some of the IPs that we have generated through the fundamental research carried out. In this domain, what we are trying to do is achieve global interoperability for electronic medical records using the immutability and the data fidelity assured by blockchain. And we are also looking to incorporate some of the features of Hedera Hashgraph, the post-consensus technologies, so that we can increase the transaction speed as such.
We have an audience that is just a bunch of Hedera enthusiasts, and they get curious about why different council members might have joined. So can you kind of explain a little bit more deeply why not only IIT Madras wanted to use the Hedera technology, but also why they wanted to help govern the direction of the network?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. So Hedera was, is configured very differently compared to the other blockchain protocols. For one, I really loved the idea of having a very democratic council where the whole governance of the protocol as well as the organization is done in a consensual manner, where different council members are contributing to different aspects of this work. That's something I really loved. And in fact, when I joined, and IIT Madras was one of the early members on the council, one of the challenges for us was to justify that at that point Hedera was not open source. But then within about 6 to 8 months, Hedera transitioned to also having an open source. And so as an academic, it was a no-brainer. Here is a fantastic protocol, democratically administered. It is open source. So, and the best of the industry is in there. So it was a no-brainer for us to be part of this movement, I would say. And the application-wise, what Hedera has demonstrated in terms of transaction speeds, for example, with Visa, where we have shown that we can do 30,000 transactions per second, I think something like that is absolutely exciting, and this is what is going to make blockchain go mass as such. So these are the reasons why we wanted to be part of the council, and these are the reasons why we are actively looking at incorporating Hedera into our solutions and offerings.
Now, I'm not sure if everybody picked up on it, but it certainly perked my ears up when Dr. Prabhu mentioned Visa there. So IIT Madras has a lot going on, but this is a perfect example of, even though we might not hear everything that's happening behind the scenes, there is a lot of work that's going on, and IIT Madras is a perfect example of that. So staying over there in the APAC region, we know that there's a team that has done a lot within the Hedera space, and that's Fresh Supply Co. Now, Fresh Supply Co. is out of Australia. They do a lot of work in supply chain. They were actually the largest user of MasterCard Provenance. That was a private blockchain. MasterCard Provenance is shuttering. They are no longer going to be operating. So them being the largest user and that service being important to the Fresh Supply Co. business, they had to find some other way that they could do that. And they chose to do that with Hedera. Now, there was a lot of other users of MasterCard Provenance, and Fresh Supply Co. is helping usher those users over by building tools to allow those other users to use Hedera as well. And the one thing that I wanted to highlight, that's kind of old news, the one thing that I wanted to highlight is Fresh Supply Co. has been awarded the Tokyo ESG Finance Award. So it's great to see this Hedera collaborator getting recognized by governments out there. Now, staying in that APAC region, but moving south, we're going to go down to Australia. Hedera has just joined the Australian Blockchain Alliance. Now, I'm not sure of all of the implications of this. I'm sure when we have Shark Bites next week, we can talk a little bit more to Rob about it, and he'll have some valuable insights around it. But either way, it's good to see Hedera staying engaged with these different industry players around the world. So I do want to cover one more thing before we get into network analysis. I want to cover the travel platform Xeni. Now, we've covered this a couple times in the past. We've had Sachin, their CEO and founder, on. He's done a great job at explaining exactly what their platform does, how they're leveraging Hedera, and they're doing that in several different ways. But I caught one of their webinars, and the host of this webinar did a great job, and he was speaking to a different audience. He was speaking to their potential users. But I wanted to add that in here to give a little bit of context around what Xeni is doing for my audience.
Let's talk about Xeni. So Xeni was founded in 2021, and we're headquartered in New York City, and we are a group of multinational. We have not members, but we have actually employees all over the world. Here's our founder and CEO, Satya Narode. So we've got a team based in India, Latin America, and all throughout the United States. And each one of us shares the shares the same goal of building a travel portal, bringing a simple and elegant tech solution to the travel industry in a done-for-you environment. And I believe that we've done that with Xeni. The international team are experts in the tech space, the travel industry, as well as the exciting Web3 and blockchain sector. We have experts from all over the travel industry. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is how each and every one of you can leverage the Xeni team's expertise, their years of experience, in hundreds of hours of development on the Xeni platform to start, grow, or enhance whatever it is that you plan on doing with the Xeni platform. Now, I want to tell you a little about me. I started in the travel industry about 16 years ago, and my company is Lifestyle Vacation Clubs. I was looking for a solution to offer short hotel stays to my clients, as well as the ability to book airlines and book car rentals for my clients. And it's like that I stumbled upon Xeni. So I began using Xeni and ended up as a consultant and someone that helps out doing the webinars and onboarding and interacting with people such as yourself who have an interest in joining the travel industry. So that's my story. And not only do I work for Xeni, but I'm also a client of Xeni. So why Xeni? Why would you choose Xeni? So with Xeni, there's no code required to build your own travel booking platform. You'll receive a fully functional travel portal that's ready to go within minutes of signing up. There's no need for you to acquire a merchant account. If you're in e-commerce at all, you understand the challenges of accepting payments and at times needing to obtain a merchant account. Well, Xeni has done all of that hard work for you. You have the ability to accept cryptocurrency, and that is going to future-proof your business. And so if you are involved in the blockchain, Web3, distributed ledger technology space, if you are involved in that, then you know exactly where I'm coming from when I talk about future-proofing your business. Because Xeni is built on the rails of distributed ledger technology, there are a ton of things that we'll be able to do in the future that you currently cannot do if you're built on traditional payment rails of only Visa and MasterCard. So again, future-proofing your business. Additionally, there's no need for you to have a web domain on day one. We allow you to get started out of the box day one using a subdomain of the Xeni website. So you can literally be ready to go with a fully functional platform within 10 minutes of signing up. You get access to our wholesale inventory of over 2 million hotels and resorts from major suppliers around the world, commercial flights for worldwide and low-cost carriers, as well as 300,000 unique experience and tours by trusted providers. Additionally, 30,000 global pickup locations for car rental. And the best part about this is you have the opportunity to earn commission on each and every one of those categories. So your white label website is going to look like this when you start out. And when we say white label, for some of you that may not understand that concept, white label simply means if you were to imagine Netflix, everyone knows what Netflix is. If you were to imagine Netflix, and instead of the banner saying Netflix, it said Andre Flix. Andre Gogu was on the call, or Mohan Flix. Okay, if you were able to brand Netflix with your name and your logo, but behind the scenes, Netflix did all of the heavy lifting. They did all of the streaming, all of the payment processing. That is the concept behind a white label travel portal. And that's what you get with Xeni, a fully customizable white label travel portal ready to go within minutes. And Xeni, behind the scenes, does all of the heavy lifting, all of the booking, all of the settlement of sales. All of that is done and handled behind the scenes by Xeni.
So really interesting stuff there. I don't think that travel in particular is going to become a huge overarching narrative in the crypto space, but I do think Xeni is going to scale and have a pretty big impact on the Hedera network. And with that, we'll go ahead and get into some network analysis. We saw a return to volatility to the Hedera network, but in a good way. We saw a jump to as high as a sustained 1,800 transactions per second today, with a max TPS exceeding 5,000. We'll see what happens with that in the next couple days, but it's definitely moving in the right direction. Time to consensus stayed down at 3.4 seconds, and over 87,000 accounts were added to the Hedera mainnet. Looking at our top 10 fungible tokens, Wrapped, HBAR, and Karate take the top 2 spots. The meme coin Grelf came up third after a successful HBAR-weighted airdrop, and to support them, I bought a little bit of extra Grelf. Another meme coin, Unlucky, came up next, followed by Dovu, Sauce, both the bridged and native forms of USDC, an energy trade token, and Islas Canarias, or Canary Island, round out the top 10. The wallet Hashpack also had an announcement around Pack. They're doing an airdrop for their NFT holders. The snapshot has already been taken, so if you hold Hashpack NFTs and have associated Pack, it should be on its way. And looking at our NFTs, the on-graph domain service .hbar took the top spot, followed by the 2024 Road Code Access Card, the Hashgraph naming service, and then the Saucer Swap liquidity provider token. Next up, we have the mobile game Not a Slime World token, sub 100K, completely on-chain HashNoPunks NFTs, the Lithos Rant CPU NFT, and finally the Times and Doctor Who Worlds Apart round out the top 10. We're going to skip DeFi this week and we're going to get right into the crypto and HBAR markets. Bitcoin took a little hit this week, down 2.5% on the day and the week, but altcoins got hit much harder, and HBAR didn't dodge that bullet, being down 4% on the day and 11% on the week, and at the time of recording is trading at just about 10.4 cents. On the bright side, HBAR once again held support at 10 cents, and if we rally from here, I'd look to 11 to 11.2 cents for resistance. So to wrap it up this week, I don't know if the next big thing is going to be GameFi, DePIN, real-world asset tokenization, refi, crypto and sports AI, or something we haven't even thought of yet. But it seems like HBAR and the HBAR economy gives you a pretty good exposure across the board. So next week, we're going to have that interview with Astra Nova, and I'm sure I'm going to line up a couple other interviews as well. We're going to have that gaming space. I think that's going to be Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. We're going to get Rob back for Shark Bites. So if you have any questions, make sure you drop them down there in the comments. That's all we've got. We'll see you next week.